Good evening, everybody, and welcome to The Light. This is our Friday evening spiritual community service, our worship service. Really good to have you with us. If you're watching us live, please put your name in the chat so you can say hello and say hello to people who are watching with you. If you're watching on a replay on our Facebook page or on a YouTube channel, don't worry, all of the energy still works. So all of the healing, all of the philosophy and prayers, it will catch you wherever you are. And I'm sure if you're watching this, it's because you're meant to be hearing the content of this online service this evening. And for those of you that I haven't met before, for those people that don't manage to come along to our physical church services, which is lovely to be able to say that, my name is Reverend Ashley Oliver. I'm a One Spirit Interfaith minister, and I'm chairing the service for this evening. And it's my absolute pleasure and joy. We've been having a proper chinwag before we came online to welcome the really lovely Angie Page. How are you doing, Angie?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, lovely. Lovely to be here. Thank you very much for asking me.
Oh, it's really lovely to work with you again. I love working with Angie and kind of hearing what your take on the world, and I'm really looking forward to hearing what spirit have inspired you with this evening. For people who haven't seen Angie before, hails from beautiful North Cornwall, Delabole. We've just been talking about Tintagel and all that amazing energy that you've got down there. So do go and find Angie wherever she's working in local spiritualist churches down there. So I'm just going to say a quick hello to some of the people that are joining us. Hello to Teresa. Hello to lovely Donna. How are you doing, Donna? Really good to see you. And hello to Phil. Oh, hello, Phil from the Wimbledon Massive. Really good to see you. I hope you're doing well. So without further ado, what we're going to do is we're going to light our candles. And we do that to join and create our sacred space together. So if you've got a candle handy, if you haven't got a candle handy, then don't worry. You can do it at any time to suit you, or you can enjoy the light from the candle I'm going to light for us. So if you just take a couple of deep breaths, just to center yourself, to send that signal to your soul, your spirit, and to all of your loved ones that you're creating some sacred space around you this evening. And then as we light our candle, to signify light in the darkness, very appropriate at the moment. The light of healing, the light of awareness, the presence of that divine power, that higher power, that God force energy, that's to signify that, and bringing that fire of inspiration and creativity to this space this evening. So without further ado, I'd like to hand over to Angie for our opening prayer to open our service.
Thank you,
Angie.
Could you join me in an open prayer, please? Heavenly Spirit, as we gather here this evening, we ask that the light which we bring forth shine brightly throughout your world, to bring hope, guidance and healing to all those in need, especially those in the Ukraine who live in fear and danger as the situation develops. We pray that the leaders of the nations may find a way forward to help resolve the conflict quickly and bring peace for the future. We do this with love and in our hearts and in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. And with that in mind, now that Angie's opened our service, and you've felt the shift in your energy, I'd now like you to tune in your energy just a little bit more to that frequency of healing. And goodness knows there is an awful lot happening in the world right now, and with people that we know and love and people that we don't know. And so we create this sacred space, we create this healing energy. So I'd invite you to relax into your chair or your seat or your bed, wherever you are. Allow your eyes to close. I'd just invite you to retreat to that space inside your heart where you send healing, and to visualize yourself receiving healing. We all need to replenish ourselves at this time with so much happening in the world. We need to make sure that our feet are firmly grounded on the floor and that we ask for help for ourselves. And for anyone that you know, including the animal kingdom, those beloved pets and pets that have passed the spirit that we're fondly thinking about as well. And then allow your energy to expand out further to encompass the whole globe and the planet and people in places of conflict. So I just invite you right now. I'm going to read a slightly different healing prayer, but I think it's appropriate. And it's one by John Birch. And then I'll play a short piece of music for us to go and send our thoughts and retreat to that healing meditation space. Bless the hands that bring wholeness to life blighted by sickness. Bless the saints who in sad and desperate places bring a sense of hopefulness. Bless those people facing daily opposition and showing a faithful witness to the world. Bless the generosity of those that can give for the gift of thoughtfulness. Bless those working for peace, working in conditions that are often challenging and hazardous. Bless those people working behind the scenes for decisions affecting all of us. Bless our words and our actions as we carry your light into places shrouded in darkness. Bless your children, whoever they may be, with the warmth of your love and grace. And so it is. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your lovely healing thoughts. I don't know if you felt the change in energy, Angie, but my hands have got really, really cold in my little room here. It's got really, really cold. So thank you all for that much needed healing energy going out. Oh, Angie. Okay, so you've set a lovely tone for us. What reading have you chosen for us this evening? What spirit inspired you to talk about?
It's something that I've written. It's called Letting Go. I won't be singing for you, so just know that's a bonus. I sometimes find myself wishing for what I think is right. Thoughts and feelings take me deep into the night. But how will I ever know the secrets of my life? If I only hold on to what I know, how will I ever see what the future has in store for me? Am I holding on for safety, for familiar things I know? Would it really matter? And would there be any harm in letting these things go? If I stop and take a moment, a small snippet in time, and put my thoughts to one side, perhaps a new life could be mine. By letting go of the old ways, the things I've always done, opening up new doorways to a new life to begin. I know I can only action what's inside of me. It's only me who can change my world through the eyes from which I see. So it's time to take a step forward and take off the rose-coloured specs and understand that not everyone expects what I expect. Not everyone will understand the world in which I live. Experience things some way that's different to the ones for me. But letting go of the past, a bright future I can see.
Lovely. And so spirit inspire your poetry?
They do, and one of the things that happens quite regularly now that I get an idea pop into my head, and then it just kind of grows from there. And sometimes it rhymes, and sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes I go back and retweak it a dozen times. Um, but usually when it comes for a reason.
Mm.
And one of the things that I feel is really important at the moment is we need to learn to let go of some of our old ways. I recently completed and passed with distinction, much to my amazement, a diploma in emotional freedom therapy, also known as tapping and letting go therapy. It goes under lots of names. Since I started my spiritual journey, I've done lots of courses. And I keep thinking I won't do any more. This will be the last one. And then something happens. I just need to carry on learning. There's something more out there. So, as I say, I've done everything from massage and reflexology, so physical things, healing, to name but a few. And most of these work physically and emotionally. But tapping works purely with your emotions. You have to do some physical stuff, as in the tapping, but it's about emotions. And the one thing that's come up for me, um, I always thought that I'd kind of got most of my world sorted. Most of my past hurts, anger, resentment, whatever you want to call it, disappointments, I thought I'd kind of dealt with. As part of the course, you're supposed to, and supported to, and encouraged to take a close look at yourself. I'd like to think I already do, I hear you say, and so did I. You have to be incredibly honest with and about yourself. Again, I hear you say, I am. So am I. You have to look into each and every facet of your personality and acknowledge your feelings, be it anger, being spiteful, envious, overwhelmed, or just plain sad. All sound familiar, does it? I know how I feel and why I feel these things, said I. But do you, or are you ready to admit that on occasions your thoughts, words, and sometimes deeds are not the true version of what you're feeling? Are they the true version of you, who you are? We don't always want people to see the true us. Sometimes we put a cloak of armour on so no one sees what's really going on inside. You put a smile on your face because everything's fine. Underneath, you're paddling so fast in the hope that everything will be fine. It might be for protection that you do it. It might be because we don't like what we see and what we project to others. So it's best they don't see the bad bits, the not so nice bits. The fact that I've always got a smiley face, I've always got a joke. They're the bits I want people to see. But by not addressing my true feelings or our true feelings, we're causing more stress and harm to our souls, to our bodies, regardless of the whether we hurt or because we're angry. The stress doesn't cause the things don't cause stress to others. It's ourselves we need to heal and release and let things go. At one point in the course, we were encouraged to look back in our lives and list 100 situations where things haven't been quite so good. 100 situations. Never. I've never got 100 situations, said I. There's just no way. I know I've dealt with most of it. But they tell you to go back to your very earliest memories. Start there, the first thing you remember. They also said that if you don't make 100, then you're possibly not telling the truth, because everybody has at least 100. So I started to go back. When I got to 110, I thought I want to stop now. This is all getting a bit close to home. This is all getting a bit dodgy. I'm going to have to think seriously about all this. So you have to look at it. And then you have to work out how you feel about each individual situation. You can't just lump them all together. When I was a child, this happened, and four of those happened, and three of those happened. Everything has to be unpicked individually. And the first thing you have to do is to work out how you feel about it now. 0 being all sorted, fantastic, and 10 not being quite so. So I started my list. As I say, 110, I started to panic. I thought this isn't quite how I thought my world would be. I had other things in my head sorted. Well, that's what I thought. But then I had to look deep into my heart, and that said something different. Work still needed to and needs to be done. While I'm going over the past, I could be missing so much more. The journey starts with accepting yourself just for who you are, not for what you look like, what you sound like, for the material possessions you have, points you've scored over anybody else, or indeed any points that other people have scored over you. Even going back to being a small child in school. For me, I know I find it really hard to lie. I'm told that it's, people say you can see it straight in your eyes the minute you start talking, so I don't stand a chance in lying. So I've never bothered. But there were things that happened when I was a child where I'm a twin, and sometimes things happened, and my parents could never work out which one of us had possibly caused the issue. So we both got the same punishment. When I went to school, the one thing I saw quite closely when I was about 9 years old was a teacher getting really cross with another child, a child who had understood what was going on. It was around maths, one of my not so favourite subjects. Ask my bank manager, he'll tell you anytime you like. And I remember that after a few days, I had the same issue. I didn't understand what was going on with the maths. And I went and asked this teacher, and he looked at me, and then he shouted at me, and then he shook me. And at 9 years of age, when somebody of 6 foot something is shaking you and shouting in your face, that's quite a scary place to be. I remembered the other child and how they'd been. They'd just gone in the corner sobbing. I took myself out of the class, down to the headmistress's office, and told her exactly what had happened. Oh dear, there's me waiting in again, fighting the corner. But saying that, the situation got addressed. It had no option. I told my mum and dad a complaint was going to be made, and eventually it got sorted out. But that really stuck with me, that I couldn't lie. I had to tell the truth. If I was asked something, I had to say how it was. And seeing other people bullied, treated wrongly, just doesn't sit with me. I'm now 60 years of age, still doesn't sit quite so well, but now I've learnt a few more words, emotions, skills to be able to cope with it and put it in a possibly better way. I still get my point across, don't get me wrong. But going back to accepting me, as a twin, we were always compared to each other. And I still have uncles and aunts now that still call me Twinny. Every now and again, I do remind them I have a name, but they always say, but there's a fat one and there's a thin one. No prizes for guessing which one I am. I'm the thin one, obviously. That's not true. I might have fibbed then. But saying that, all those things just stick in your memory. When we went to secondary school, we were compared to the fact we had an older brother, and then we were the twins. And I remember the head of our house at the time just clapped his hands and jumped up and down with glee. And I said, but my name's Angela. I have a sister called Alison and a brother called Nicholas. Please call me Angela. At that point, he went into the staff room, and 3 other teachers told me this later, and said, that one's going to be trouble. I know that one's going to be trouble. So I already had my label. If you've got your label, you've got to live up to it. So my sister went on to be head girl, and I spent most of my time in lunchtime detentions for bunking out of school and nipping down to the pub at the corner. Mum and Dad didn't know that. But It's about accepting me. I'm not like everybody else. I'm quite unique, which is always a bonus. I used to talk to my gran when I was little. I'd tell my mum and she'd say, "Oh, it was just a dream. Don't be silly." But I knew I was different. I knew I had to do something different for me. I always wanted to be a teacher. I do teach now, but not in the way I thought I would do. I have to acknowledge my experiences. Some have been absolutely amazing, some not quite so good. Some, if I had my time again, would I go back and repeat? I think I probably would, because there'd be things that have made me me. I think the one thing that, for me, it's suddenly woken up. I'm okay as me. I may not be as slim as everybody else. I may not be as pretty as everybody else. I may not be as bright as everybody else. But I'm me. And I'm okay being me now. But I've had to go back and do some work on some of these things. These things that just make you feel that you've got them sorted. And when you go back to your 100 odd items, possibly some of them aren't as sorted as you think. It's been quite a challenge going back. It's been quite a challenge actually unpicking things, addressing things, and learning to do some exercises to help change how I feel. The next thing I'm going to tell you is going to sound really awful, and I know that. When my dad died 20 years ago this year, I can tell you exactly where I was at the time. I can tell you exactly the time of day that he died. I know everything about that day. But I feel I've dealt with it quite well, and I know he always walks beside me. I feel that's really important. And it must be about 4 years ago, I don't know for sure, when my mum died. I was there. I wasn't with my dad when he died. I was there when my mum died. And I always felt that she had been the one that had been pulling me back. And it's an awful thing to say that since she's been gone, God bless her, and I know she's at peace, I feel I've really made big strides in me. Emotionally, I've made big strides to putting things to bed. For realising that when people have caused me pain, it's not necessarily about me, it's about them. It's about how they react to a situation, not necessarily me. When people show me love, I've worked out now this is about me. And I'll accept nothing less than the love of people that want me to be in their world. When people show me anger, again, if you don't like what I say and how I respond to things, that isn't actually my problem anymore. You have to sort that out for yourself. You and each of us have to be responsible for ourselves. We have to go back and put the past to bed. We don't lose our memories when we do that, but we can have them now in a place where we can manage them, where they can be stored and learnt from. And most importantly, don't control our future, don't control our present. And now they can't control our past. But as always, for us to move forward, we need to be free to go out into this world and do what we most want to do. And sometimes that's just by being me. Whether it's dancing around the kitchen, singing in the car. My neighbours are getting used to it now when I come home. But what's really important now is that I'm comfortable in my own skin. It's taken a long time to get there, and there is still so much more work to do. But actually, it's not as painful as I thought it would be, finding out who I am, being prepared to be me. And so my final question to you would be, what are you going to let go of so that you can move forward to a brighter future? Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Angie. Thank you for your courage. And it's, and I had no idea what you were going to talk about when we were chatting before the service. And
didn't want to let on.
I commend your bravery and courage and giving other people permission to be vulnerable and do that deep work. And it sounds like the journey that you've been on since you've been embarking on this course has been monumental for you. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
The other course I did was a spiritual life coaching course.
Mm.
That's actually that's run really nicely alongside this to be able to put things in place. So you're unpicking one thing, but then you've got something to move on to make it work. And without spirit, I'm not sure I'd be as courageous as possibly I have been. But I know they've got my back, and that's amazing.
Beautiful.
Well, when I move house, I'll bring a few more people with me.
And you have just drawn such a powerful response from other people in this really open-hearted sharing. And there's some amazing comments. I know you're not going to have time, and I don't want to kind of draw you into those, but there's some really beautiful people applauding you for sharing your truth. Also, recognizing that we're not a done deal. We're constantly, I know we know there's eternal progress, but we're just constantly a work in progress. And that healing's not linear. It's kind of, some days you have really good days and you think, I've come so far, and then the next you're on your sofa and you think, what's it all about? But that's the nature of the beast, isn't it?
Yeah,
and you never stop learning.
I was at art this morning. I go to an art group on a Friday morning, and we're not all fantastic at it, but we go and give it a go. And it's about having that community, and especially during lockdown, having Zoom meetings where we've said, well, have you seen what I've done with this? What I can do with a piece of charcoal. It was amazing and so supportive. And we were talking this morning, and I said, I heard a song on the radio this morning, and it's called The Joker and the Queen. It's by Ed Sheeran. I'm not an Ed Sheeran fan, but anyway. And somebody pulled it up on YouTube while we were there and played it, and I just sat and cried. And Nikki Terry said, what's going on? You've got all emotional on me. What's happened? I went, I haven't got a clue. I really don't know. But just the words of that, about that people, it doesn't matter what you have. You just accept people for the people they are. You see past all the glitz and the glamour. And, the old saying, you never judge a book by its cover. If we open us all up, we've got so many pages of learning. We've got so many pages of story, of history that we need to share with the world. And I think it was just the fact that, it doesn't matter what you've got. I'm just going to love you completely. And I think that's, and I just sat there and cried for quite a long time. Mascara ran down my face, and somebody said, oh, Panda's arrived. And that just kind of broke it. But it's those sort of things that I think just really make us who we are, and we need to see past all the glitz and the glamour and the sparkle. To be honest and true about ourselves.
Yeah. And starting those conversations with people spiritually. There's so many really amazing comments on here, and it's really lovely. Hello to Sheila and Marion from Scotland, and hello Adam. Really good to have Adam Berry. In fact, this kind of was resonating with some of the other conversation that have been happening around kind of stripping away and getting to the core of who you really are. Because how can we be of service to spirit if actually there are corners of ourselves that we haven't kind of explored, and we don't know what some of our hot buttons are, that when they get pushed, we kind of retreat into that state of being detached from spirit, where we start to retreat into our own brain and our own thought process. So we need to start unpicking that and understanding who we are, and how we react to things to make us really beautiful channels for that message of love and acceptance that you're talking about. And it's lovely that Ed Sheeran is even on the same wavelength as well.
Yeah. And something you've just said there, that it's about stripping things back, but it's about allowing ourselves to be vulnerable. We don't have to be perfect in every way. So my name's not Mary Poppins. Although I don't mind having a carpet bag and a talking walking stick, but we're not perfect. We're always going to be learning. And I think that's really important that we're open to that we see things not just from our point of view, but from others. But for me, it's about my honesty and my truth and my integrity. And if that sits well within my heart, then that's the most important thing. I would hate to think I've upset people. I would hate to think I've hurt people. And in anger and distress, sometimes we say things we don't mean. But I think sometimes we just need to stop and really think about, if somebody said that to you, how would you feel? So I think it's about being an open, honest with ourselves before we're open and honest with the rest of the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's I know we were speaking before about kind of having friends that see you and understand you, and also circles, why they're so important. But it's really important to have, I mean, I call them kind of Anamkara or soul friend, or somebody that you can kind of you can unburden with, who sees you for who you are, who sees you as that beautiful, magnificent spirit, where you don't feel judged. And those small, intimate circles are the place really that you can have those conversations, especially around things that come up around our faith when we question that, and when things happen to us that kind of knock us off our center. Rather than just continuing to pretend that everything's okay, to be able to have those conversations and unpick them with somebody trusted is really, really important. And there's more and more call for that, certainly within spiritualism, certainly within kind of this understanding, is that you've got to be able to have that safe space. Otherwise, you're kind of just lying to yourself. It's all about development, all about that. Actually, you need to have that space to be able to do the soul work as well.
Yeah, and I think also the other thing that's really important, often we say our spirits they've stepped back, they're not with me anymore, and then you panic. And I think one thing we need to remember is they don't step back. We're the ones that step back, possibly because we're a bit afraid of what's going to happen next, but we're the ones that take ourselves away from them in order to almost like regroup ourselves. They never leave our side. You know, my dad gets in my car most days if I drive. He always lights up a cigarette. He always gets told to put it out. He does. I get out, do what I need to do, get back in, and the car smells of cigarettes again. So I know exactly what he's been up to, but I know he's beside me. I find myself asking him for directions, and then the sat nav will come and say something like, "No, that's wrong, because Dad says it's this." I'm sure the sat nav, the little fella in there, is just saying, "Well, why did you ask me then? Because there's no point in asking me because you're not listening." And I think it's having that time to stop and listen to our own beat, our own rhythm of our own drum, and our own hearts. And knowing that they don't step back, we step back from them. They will always be walking beside us. Sometimes giving us a bit of a push. To make sure that we know they're always here.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm really interested, and there's some really lovely comments. I'll encourage you to go back and have a look, Angie, because you're going to love them. There's a really interesting one from Wendy. It's talking about that kind of twin energy as well, and how difficult it was to kind of break free from that. So I'm sure, Angie, I think Wendy's asking a question about any tips to manage that hurt. So I'm sure that will be a conversation for you guys to kind of continue in the comments if you're able to do that, Angie.
I don't even know how I get to see the comments.
Here we go. There we go.
All right.
Yeah. So I'm sure you can.
Yeah, I know exactly how you feel. Yeah. You're always the one that's going to be the difficult one. Yeah, it is. And I think the one thing, for me, we were unexpected. We were an unexpected set of twins. I don't know if you were, Wendy, but we were an unexpected set of twins. We had an older brother who's quite precious. I know that the day we were born, following day, my dad went into work singing "Thank Heaven for Little Girls," and I know that because people he worked with told me. But the one thing my dad always did was gave me permission to be me. When my mum wanted to dress us the same, we had to have the same presents, we expected to have the same friends. So when I started to break out of that mold a little bit, because I couldn't do what Alison did, I couldn't be what Alison was. You know, she wanted to go ballroom dance, I want to go horse riding. You know, she wanted to do this and I want to do that. And to start with, I was labelled as trouble. And I think by doing a lot of healing on myself and looking back at the family dynamics, it was what they expected us to be rather than allowing us to be individuals.
Mm.
I'm also a mum to a set of triplets. I mean, they're in their early 30s now. And when their mum was expecting, she phoned me up. She went, "I've got some news." I went, "Great, you're having twins?" And she went, "No, I'm having triplets. What on earth am I going to do? What can I do?" And I said, "You treat them as individuals. From
Mm.
day one, you just treat them as individuals. Don't dress them the same. Don't expect them to enjoy the same things." They are three really lovely young men. They are
Mm.
all so different. They have a great love for each other and support each other. They are so, so different. And they've been
Mm.
allowed to be individuals. And I think for you, Wendy, it is difficult, but it is possible to break that by knowing that your soul is as special as everybody else's. What you want and need out of this world won't be the same as everybody else, because even identical twins don't have necessarily that same end goal.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
because we're all made up slightly differently. And you might have a bit more of your dad in you than your mum, or you might have a bit of, great grumpy so and so in there. And that's how things I think develop, but by doing some work on yourself,
Mm.
valuing yourself, going back and unpicking tapping might be a really good way to do
Mm.
that. Unpick what's it was that caused that hurt in the first place and almost makes you feel rejected of not being the person that
Mm.
everybody else expects you to be.
Yeah,
Spirit aren't expecting you to be anybody else but the person you are.
absolutely.
It's us that put the restrictions on ourselves and other people.
Mm.
Does that help?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If that helps, Wendy, then but I'm sure this is probably a conversation, because it sounds like there's so much synchronicity in the pathway and the story, and the fact that you were talking about EFT and freedom and tapping, and your whole story being unpicked and about a healing journey. It just feels too much of a lovely synchronistic coincidence to kind of ignore that. So yeah, if that's kind of okay to make that connection after the service,
No,
that would be
sure.
lovely, rather than unpacking it here. And Anthony, I do see all your messages. You've got an awful lot to contribute to the conversation. So thank you so much. I will go back afterwards. If we don't get time to bring all of the comments up on screen, I will go back afterwards and just have a look at them and just kind of respond back and see if there's a way that we can help, or kind of signpost or put you in touch. So thank you so much. Oh, Wendy says thank you. I want to catch
You're
up with
very
offers.
welcome.
Thank you,
Very
Angie.
welcome indeed.
And lovely Fiona's here. Hello, Fiona. How are you doing? Hail's from down your way, neck of the woods as well, Angie. So Fiona was talking about just traveling that life path, and everything has can't got that equal and opposite reaction. Really lovely. Thank you so much. I'm just trying to add the other one. Oh, hello to Helen as well. Hello. Thank you so much for joining us, Helen. Really lovely to have you with us. And there's a really nice message from Sheila. So thank you so much for sharing your truth, Angie. Really important. It's having these brave spaces and people who are willing to be vulnerable and to talk about that healing journey, that give other people permission to also be vulnerable. If all of the people who are working mediums and out there and taking church services and doing private sittings, if all you're seeing is the presentation, then everyone else who sat in that congregation or in that audience thinks that that is what it's about, that it's just all about the presentation. It's all about that very thin window of persona that we're actually seeing, when actually they're not seeing the 98% of that other person and the journey and the pain and the things they work through. So by allowing yourself to show that vulnerability, it gives other people permission. And I'm sure there's some things that have resonated, and little droplets that have dropped in with other people.
I think also it's really important that we, if I say we're not special, that sounds awful, but I'm only me. So therefore, if I'm only me, I can only show you me. And when people say, you're so lucky, I'm really grateful that Spirit worked with me. That's an amazing gift that I have. But if people listen to themselves, they'll find that Spirit worked with them too. So you feel like there's nothing special about me and what I do. It's about everybody has this ability in one shape or form and therefore we're all gifted, we're all special. And one thing I do when I do services, I always try and bring some humour into it. And people say it's great you make people laugh, because people then see the other side of you when you go to give a message that's possibly a bit harder, you know. And I think that's really important, that we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, so as people see us as the people we are, not as something amazing, wonderful, fantastic, and magical.
Yeah.
Although I would love to be all of those.
You are magical, Angie. You are magical.
Let's get the wings out and polish quick. But do you see what I mean? I think it's important that they see, if you like, us in our raw and natural state, because sometimes by doing that, you're going to touch somebody and that's going to make a difference to them. They know it's okay to be like this.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important. We forget that. And as human beings, whether we're spiritualists or not, I think we forget. We've almost kind of put that element in there that we mustn't show our feelings, because if we do, that's a sign of weakness. It's actually a real sign of strength if people can show their, all their signs.
Absolutely. And we were talking about this in Circle the other week, that there's kind of 3 elements to this. And the first one is learning, and that actually we never stop learning. And so it's lovely you and I were chatting before about continually wanting to do courses and workshops and read more things and go to more webinars, because there's so much to learn. It just feels like we're kind of sponges at the moment. To continually learn, to continually work on ourselves and be vigilant around the things within our own persona that can trip us up, because we all have them, the things that trip us up and just kind of set us off and move us further away from God and move us more into our own stuff. And then the third thing is just understanding what that mission is, because it's all well and good developing this beautiful connection to the spirit world, but if you're not going to do anything with it, it's just continually looking to see, where can I be of service, where am I being directed now, and not getting so attached to our own vision of what we're going to be, and just allowing the energy to move through you where it's needed. You kind of need to have those 3 things for it to be complete, otherwise you're kind of unbalanced. You need to have those 3 elements.
You do. And I think the one thing I do every morning before I even set a foot out of bed, partly because I have to fight my way through the cats that sleep on the bed and things like that, 3 of them, and they've all got their own space. But the one thing I always do before I get out of bed, I always say to Spirit, how do you want me to serve today? How can I serve you today?
Beautiful.
And it's about giving me to them, and they will use me. And I know they will use me how they feel I need to be used. It may not always be the way that I think, oh, okay, that wasn't what I expected. That wasn't what I was going to do. But by putting my trust in that they will take me and put me where I need to be. And they will show me the path I need to go down for that day. If you meet one person, and I've always said this when I serve churches, if I meet one person and I've touched one person enough to make them think differently, to make them feel differently, to know that the person from the spirit world has come through to be with them. And if they walk away feeling a bit lighter of heart, and more positive, then to a degree I've done my job. Hopefully I've touched quite a few other people. And I always say to people, even if the message is directed at one person, there will be elements of every message that I give that other people can take and move forward with. And I think that's something that's really important for us, that we make sure that we do it with a kind heart. We make sure that we're open to being taken where we need to be taken, being placed where we need to be placed. Like I said to you, and I've been here 3 years, and up until 6 months ago, I still kept thinking I want to go home. Home was Dorset, and it's not where I grew up, but I want to go home. And about 6 months ago, I don't even know what happened, but I came home after doing a service, and I thought, oh, it's so good to be home. I'm home, and I know this is the right place. Whether it's the right place for the rest of my life or not, I don't know. But for the moment, I've come here and I've been planted here for a reason, and that's to hopefully grow, put some roots out there to blossom and encourage people to do the same.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Angie.
Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah. It's joyful to talk to you and to hear you speaking like this. It's just wonderful. I can't even say how wonderful it is. And really lovely for me personally to have witnessed the journey and development as well. Is just gorgeous. Oh, my lovelies. So many beautiful, beautiful, supportive, affirming, nurturing. Talk about having some really lovely people that we're so blessed to have in our online spiritual community here. There is a real wellspring out there. And the one thing I'm really pleased, really proud of spiritualist churches and communities is just how supportive everyone is of each other online, which is really lovely. So thank you everyone who's been sending some beautiful comments. For those people who are lucky enough, and I say lucky because we are very proud of our church we've got in Weymouth, lucky enough to be able to come to our service on Sunday, which is at Preston Village Hall in Weymouth. We have equally remarkable in a very different way, in a very beautiful way, Sarah Birch coming to be our in-person medium on Sunday. So that's 6:15. Yeah, she's very, very popular, really beautiful lady. So she's joining us at 6:15 until 7:30 on Sunday at Preston Village Hall. And healing is available for those people that need it. If you're interested in healing, if something that's been spoken about this evening has just lit a little spark underneath you and you think, actually, I might want to just explore this healing journey and how I might be able to kind of move on with things, then do come along from 5:30 until 6:15 for tea, coffee and healing before the service. So my lovely Angie, I'm going to hand back over to you to close the service down. I'm just going to blow out our candle. So that we can send that energy out into the world, all of that beautiful healing and that positivity and that beautiful energy that we've generated out to the four corners of the earth wherever it's needed. So I'm just going to blow our candle out and hand over to you, Angie, for our closing prayer, my lovely.
Thank you. Heavenly Spirit, as we close this gathering this evening, we ask that the light continues to shine out into your world, to guide, heal and protect those who live in fear, in pain, with anger or hurt in their hearts, and that they may find peace. For those leaving this world, we ask that the journey onwards is filled with love and peace. We ask that you guide with your light to a future that will be bright, for your animal kingdom, for the people of your world. That there is safety, there is tolerance, there is understanding, love and kindness. We thank you for the love and healing that we've been able to generate this evening. And for everyone that has joined us here, we ask that you keep them safe and bless them until we meet again. Amen.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Angie. And thank you to everybody who's joined us this evening, whether you were watching the service live and contributing in the comments, or whether you're going to be catching this on a catch-up. Please do still add your comments and your check-ins and say hi, because we do check them and respond back to them. It's always beautiful to be with you online. I really do enjoy this space, and it feels like a really glorious way to start the weekend. And thank you so much, Angie. We will see you again soon. Really look forward to you serving the church in person the next time you come to serve us. And thank you so much for your work this evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody. God bless.
Thank you. Night night. Goodbye, everybody. Bye. Bye.